$5,000 big fat dollars. That is around how much money you'll need to shell out for this shoe, the 2015 Foamposite Tianjin. Now 11 years later, Nike is coming out with a 2.0 version of this colorway named after the city that is the birthplace of basketball in China. And my god, Nike Air Foamposite 1 Tianjin 2.0. Now the shoe drops sometime in May for the equivalent of $250. It is a China exclusive, and of course it is the 2.0 version of the 2015 Tianjin colorway. It's actually pronounced Tianjin, but I'm trying to say it like a foreigner would, so it doesn't sound as foreign to you. I originally am from Taiwan. I can read the characters on the shoe. I get the significance of the shoe in terms of the historical origins. So back to Tianjin. You may be wondering why they chose that city specifically. It is because that's kind of the birthplace of basketball in China. So in fact, the first basketball game played in the country in 1895 was in the city of Tianjin by missionaries at the YMCA, and it's kind of like the hub for the sport in China. And first impressions of the shoe. Come on, this is one of the most bonkers colorways, one of the most out there bold type of foams that we've ever seen for a shoe and silhouette. We've seen a ton of insane designs. Galaxies come to mind, of course, the Beijing, just a ton of things that you can do with this shoe. It is one of the more out there ones. Do I think it's better than the 1.0? I'm a black sneaker lover, so I like the black on the 1.0 version, but this is still it is still delicious. It is bonkers. You might not wear it too much. You might never wear it, but as a collector's piece, like on a shelf somewhere, yeah, this definitely is an eye catcher. And the box of the shoe, this is where it is kind of disappointing. Just a black Foamposite box, nothing special, nothing custom. Even the paper inside is just regular ass paper. And in terms of the materials, of course, it is the usual Foamposite material. If you've never felt it, kind of feels like hardened rubber, but not so hard where it doesn't have any give. So there's a little bit of give to it. And this material is made by heating up polyurethane to 175 degrees Fahrenheit. They pour it into a mold. Once it cools in that mold, it forms the shape of a Foamposite. And this shape is actually inspired by a beetle. Originally, when the foams first dropped in 1997, they came out for $180. Convert that to 2026. It's actually $360 in today's money, so it's always been super expensive because that mold was very costly. Now, one good thing about the foams is that the durability of this material is really nice. Also, it starts to mold to your feet the more you wear it. Now, to the main event of this shoe, of course, it is the design of these foams. You will see these Chinese Oriental artwork. This type of style is specifically the Yangluqing artwork. Now, Yangluqing is actually a town in Tianjin, so this art style can be traced back to the Northern Song period, and it also references traditions from the Song and Yuan dynasty paintings. And you'll see there are actually New Year's wood blocks. That is very common in Chinese culture, so it comes in the same type of style, very, very bold colors, with that child at the top, this pinkish type of mini swoosh on the tip of the toe with lotus flowers, these green petals, and you'll see, of course, this fish. Now, why the use of fish? I will go over the booty of the shoe and what this says. So you read it from right to left vertically, so it actually means quite literally year after year, more left over. So the meaning behind it, even though literal translation can be kind of clunky, the meaning and idea behind it is that you have enough or you have more than you need, so you have some excess year after year. It kind of symbolizes like you don't need anything, you have enough wealth or fortune and prosperity to keep you going year after year. But the characters kind of have a double meaning. The first character is actually part of the character for lotus in Mandarin, and then the last character, that fourth one, actually sounds the same as fish. So the first one correlates to the lotus, the last one correlates to the fish. That is the origin behind the design here. It's not just pulled out of the ass, like they didn't just think of random animal and stick it on this shoe. There is some meaning to it. And while I'm on the booty here, you will see the yellow golden lotus behind these 4 characters that replaces the usual 1 cent logo, of course. You will also see the double pull tabs, and then moving up the tongue, you will get these eye stays that also matches the scales of the fish there. And the tongue itself, that is like a mesh tongue, provides some ventilation on a shoe that quite honestly does not have great ventilation. And then at the tip of the tongue, there is that lotus graphic that is actually embroidered onto the tongue itself, replacing the usual jeweled 1 cent logo. And the tongue down the middle itself, the material is like leather, but it does have this kind of nubuck or matte finish to it. And you will see the tongue is actually connected and part of this inner booty. So that kind of wraps around your feet a little bit more tightly, kind of feels like a sock, an extra sock around your sock. So the storytelling here is very intricate. It's in your face once you know the origin or kind of the tradition behind some of these graphics used. It makes it slightly more interesting. And in terms of the laces, just white laces on the shoe, no extra laces. Honestly, I don't know what other color I would pick apart from just white. I think there's enough going on as is. I wouldn't put like another bold color laces on the shoe, but that's just me. And in terms of cushioning, the foams does come with a full-length Zoom Air unit as well as another one in the heel area, so double stack there. And the outsole of this, you'll see majority herringbone. It still has that 1 cent logo on the heel, so nothing custom here. However, you might think this could probably be glow-in-the-dark outsoles. I tried charging this shoe for a few hours before I recorded. Couldn't really get it to work. Couldn't get like any glow-in-the-dark effect. But if you can and you have this shoe, let me know. Maybe I just didn't put it in like bright enough sun. I don't have like a UV light handy, so I'm not too sure. And what you will also see is this carbon fiber poking out. This foams does come with a carbon fiber plate. You'll also see it extend onto the sides here, so that increases side-to-side stability, torsional rigidity, as well as helping with kinetic energy return. So the foams were pretty stacked in terms of tech specs back in 1997. Now this may be pretty like common and nothing too special, but back in the day, this is actually pretty stacked. Now in terms of the insoles, you will see the same phrase, those 4 characters, as well as those scales. So I'm glad they gave us some custom insoles. Quality of these are pretty common for foams. It is not my favorite. Now in terms of sizing and comfort, I am a wide and flat footer. For foams, I generally just stick true to size. Fits me pretty well. I will caution, you have to have patience with the foams. It is a material that can come kind of stiff. You have to wear it in, it starts to mold your feet, and it becomes a pretty comfortable shoe. Still very heavy, very bulky, not a ton of cushioning underfoot. So if those things are important to you, definitely don't go for these. But around your feet, the way it wraps with that inner booty, I think is decently comfortable. And that brings the total sole score of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Tianjin 2.0 to 38.5 out of 50. A pretty good score compared to other special releases. Now first, it is colorway. It's one of the most unique special colorways that we have ever seen, definitely for this year as well. It is not 10 because I do reserve those for colorways that are just bonkers legendary. I think this is right below that tier. It is insane, it is in your face, it is special, and it is just one of a kind. And in terms of the materials, really like foams. It is durable, it is unique, it is nice to the touch. Yeah, not much else to say. And in terms of the comfort, I think if you can overlook the long break-in time relative to other shoes anyway, the long break-in time as well as the weight of a shoe, which honestly has never really bothered me too much, I think you're going to think this is a pretty comfortable shoe. It just feels good around your foot. Maybe not underneath because there's not a ton of cushioning, but when it's like in the shoe itself, once you broke it in, I think it's pretty comfortable. And in terms of the versatility of the shoe, come on, very hard to wear. I can't think of a single occasion that I would wear this colorway. Maybe like during Lunar New Year or something. It is just hard to wear. I don't have the type of presence or whatever word you want to use to pull this off. And in terms of the storytelling, I think it's really good in terms of what's on the shoe, the insoles, and kind of the artwork and origins behind this colorway. But the one big thing is the box. I always say when it comes to a special release, when you're gonna go all out on a shoe like this, if you don't take the effort to give us something special for the box to complete that type of unboxing experience, I think it's just a little lazy, kind of missed the mark. So kind of wish they spent a little bit more time with the box, but I'll take what's inside anyway. Now today's throwback of the day, it is the cartoon Gargoyles that originally aired from 1994 to 1997. This was a series by Disney Studios, and it was about these gargoyles that basically turned into stone during the daytime, but during the night, they were basically like the protagonists of New York City. They were keeping the city safe. Honestly, my memory for this series is very vague. Like, I don't even remember the characters' names and all that. What I do remember is I really liked it at the time. I would randomly think about this cartoon and be like, what happened to it? What happened to this show? Kind of just disappeared, or at least disappeared off my radar. But I thought about it this week again, and here I am talking about it. If you know about this cartoon, if you watched it, let me know in the comments below. Would you want to see them reboot this show? We are no longer at the peak of Foamposite hype and slurp, but in 2026, when they come out with something this bonkers, this nuts, I think it still gets most people super excited. What doesn't get people super excited is them limiting this to a specific region, so a lot of people will miss out. Do I think this is as good as the 1.0s? I don't think so, but my god, how can you deny this is still a delicious shoe? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Nike Air Foamposite 1 Tianjin 2.0. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.